Yo, it's Guido coming at you with the Tactics Talk. Welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you guys are having a good morning. I am deep in the abyss of Fred. Fred is on his way. He's going to make an unscheduled and it's announced, but it is an unwelcome visit to the Panhandle. So we'll be dealing with that later today. Knock out some videos before we batten down the hatches and hide or whatever it is we're going to do. Anyway, we're going to do a review of the Vz.44-1 alphabet soup. This is the new Czech Heavy at tier 7. If you don't watch the rest of this video, slightly below average to, in my opinion, for me, below average, but we'll talk about that as we go. I think most people are going to find it slightly below average. It is a very unimpressive, I guess, tier 7 heavy tank, and I kind of see the direction they're trying to go with the design, but it don't work. It don't work. We're going to get into that. We'll look at an overview, we'll look at the tech tree, we'll look at 3D model, a comparison amongst some of its peers, tech tree tanks, and also the Škoda T45 premium tank, which will tell a tale. My stats, my setup, and then some gameplay examples for the Škoda VZ, it's not a Škoda, what is this thing? It's a Vz.44-1, I think it actually is a Škoda. But it's the Tier 7 Czech heavy tank on the new Czech heavy tank line. So what do we got here? This was a development during World War II. It was a request from Porsche, and Škoda did some design. It's going to have electromechanical transmission and a diesel engine. Existed only in blueprint. So another blueprint tank. Although this is interesting because it is a World War II development tank at Tier 7. That's where a lot of Tier 7s come from. Mid to late war or right after the war. So blueprint only, you can see some of the design influences. It almost looks like the combo of Russian and German in there, just a little bit. Let's take a look at the tech tree. Forward mounted turret, fairly flat faced. We'll look at the armor, some angling but not great, and this all kind of adds together to not worky for armor. We'll get to that in just a minute. Let's take a look at the tech tree. A couple things you're going to want to know about this tank. Number one, if we could ever get to the tech tree, is that it has 5 crew members. Fantastimundo. 5 crew members. So you're going to come off the Škoda T25, which has 4 crew members. Although one is a radio operator, that will be useful, I guess, because the Vz.44-1 has a radio operator. But unfortunately, the T25 does not have a loader. The Škoda T25 being an autoloader, kind of stuffed in the middle of this line. Holy macaroni, what a pain in the patukas. Guess what happens here? Well, you'll never guess. That's exactly right. We get down to 4 crew members. So good luck. You're going to have a radio operator. You're going to lose the radio operator. You might want to retrain him later to a commander, especially if you get a little crew experience right there on those guys, because you're going to be looking for a good Czech heavy crew, which more than likely you didn't have unless you have the Škoda T45, or you're going to be pulling some crews over from the mediums, which unfortunately, my friends, actually they do have 4. I thought they had 3 because they're autoloaders, but they don't. I think the 34-100 may even have 5 crew. There you go. So if you were looking for a crew to pull straight from one tank to another with retraining that had a radio operator, your best bet is probably the T34-100, unless this guy also does that. Nope, doesn't. What about the VTU? We're just having fun now, my friends. Oh, there you go. Maybe the VTU. So in any event, you're going to be fighting to make a new crew member. There it is. Tech tree considerations. The other things to look at is, holy cow, unlike some of the other lines that have recently come out, for some reason this one has a multitude of modules to unlock. A little bit unusual, actually, lately. We've had very few modules, but my goodness, there's 2 engines, 1 track, 2 engines, a radio, 2 guns, and another turret. 2 guns and another turret. The 105 being the big payoff gun, and then we've got a 100 also, which I don't recommend because it has almost as bad dispersion. Actually, it has as bad of dispersion, and everything else is inferior. So you're really going to want to go for this. The only thing this gun has is 8 more pen with the gold round. Terrible. All right, so there you go. Tech tree considerations with this bad boy. You are going to have to figure out your crew. It's going to be a bit of a mess. Let's look at the 3D. Well, 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 what have we here? A heavy tank. Check, check, 1, 2, 3. The Vz.44-1. How much armor does it have? A whole lot of not much. The thicknesses are actually pretty good, but if you look at this, we've got 204 on the face, effective. Gets okay if you get around the edge, but it's all that kind of flat plate stuff going on, slightly rounded, I guess. Flat plate on the front. This really hurts it right here. A big old tumor on top with just about nothing, and then a really soft hole, 179, 131, and it takes quite a bit of angling before you get any kind of goodness out of it, and now you've exposed a whole bunch of the side of the tank. Also, it is a very forward turret, which means a whole bunch of your rear end is going to be sticking out as you come out from there, and a fairly low amount of armor on the side of it as well. And as you can see, this is just, even though the thicknesses are pretty good, 200 on the turret and 100 maybe 30 or something like that on the hull, it don't worky, right? It's just there's not enough angle. It's a giant turret. It's a very big tank. It's a flat plate face. No bueno. No bueno. It is a layout for this game that do not work. And unfortunately, some of the design balance decisions were made off of thicknesses and not really considering how this thing works in the game, at least in my opinion. So let's go ahead and move on from this mess. look at the rest of it. And we are going to tell a tale here for sure. In the comparison of vehicles, I have a bunch of the usual tech tree, I guess, usual tech tree tanks. I don't know, I was looking for a word I couldn't think of. Skoda T45 is the premium. I've gone ahead and thrown it on the edge just as an interesting side note. The Caro is the last heavy tank, I believe, that came out, as well as the 45 TP, which was quite a while ago. And then we've got 3 of the iconic, the T29, the Tiger 1, and the IS. This tank has a lot of problems. The biggest one is its firepower is absolutely atrocious. Even Wargaming's own number shows it at 217, however they make that number. It's the lowest of the bunch. It is one of the most anemic heavy tanks you are going to find in the entire game. And the problem is it brings nothing else to the table. I think maybe they thought the armor profile was going to give it some strength, and it needed to have its cannon balanced off of that. It didn't work, folks. It did not work. 206 pen is okay. It's actually best of these. Unfortunately, the gold pen's 242, so it doesn't get a lot of help when you have to dab 2. So, okay. So it's got an advantage at its standard pen. Not bad. Rate of fire, relatively low. 11-second loading. That is in the realm of the IS, my friends. In the realm of the IS. And here's the issue with that. 320 alpha to the IS's 390. What on earth? I'm just going to jump down here. We're just going to give you the bad news right up front. 1,655 DPM. I mean, you would expect it to be an autoloader at this point. The Caro got panned roundly for having 1,669, but the Caro looks like an absolute offensive monster compared to this thing. At least the Caro has a 0.4 dispersion, whereas this thing is running around with a 0.42. We're in IS territory with a reload nearly as long and 70 less DPM and 400 less. I meant alpha. Now let's talk DPM. 400 less DPM. This is such a steaming pile of dumpster fire badness. Look, you guys know me. I can almost always find something good about a tank. And in a couple instances lately, I have been hard pressed to do so, and this is one of them. I said at the beginning it's below average. I'm being really nice, because I want to like it, and sometimes it works, but I don't know why. Maybe just if you're a good player, you can make steaming piles of dumpster fire work, because I don't want to say the other word. -8 gun depression is good. That's good. That's usable. 2.4 on the aim time is okay, but it's not in 45 or T29 time frame. Of course, it's not the 3.26 of the IS. Remember, I was comparing those two. There's a big balance factor for the IS. It takes forever to load in that 390. But even so, the payoff is 1900. All right. Take a quick gander between the tech tree and the premium Skoda T45. T45 has worse standard pen, has better gold pen, if you can believe it. Rate of fire is much higher. The T45 is running an 88, whereas the Vz.44 is running a 105. So you're going to get less damage at 220. That's anemic, by the way. You know, even for this thing. But everything else is better. It's got 0.36 dispersion, has almost 100 more, over 100 more DPM. It's just overall better. All right, roll down here. This is the armor I was talking about. 200 on the turret, 110 on the hull. I think I said 130, but it's 110. That's kind of the same as the rest of the class, but the angling is garbage. The Caro has surprisingly good hull armor because of the angle. If you can see it in a little icon up there, but it's just well angled. It really is, as is the T45 or the 45 TP. Does a little better as well. You'd look at that turret and go, my goodness, 200, that's awesome. I mean, it's not quite T29, but goodness, we're talking about all these others just have no turret, right? So that 200 should be usable. Not really. No, it's just too flat-plated. It's too large. That big weak spot tumor on the top. It don't worky. All right, it does not work. Slow, slow, slow. The slowest. Well, it's tied for its cousin, the T45. It's 5 kilometers an hour. Well, 4 for the IS. It's even slower than an IS. That's hard to believe. Where's the payoff on the armor? You know, there isn't any. So it's slow with a derpy gun, a questionable alpha, 0 DPM. You know, see where I'm getting at with this thing? I mean, I hate to beat a dog while it's you know, near dead, or a horse while it's lying, or or a dead dog's horse. I don't know. I'm trying to find something nice to say about it. The view range is 370. At least it's not 350. Is that? You can't say something nice. Don't say nothing at all. What do we have here, folks? Well, we got a nice standard pen. We got okay, good depression. That's it. And sometimes the armor is okay, I guess. Terrible. It is easily one of the worst tier 7s, especially at tech trees. I might drive a Tiger P before I drive this thing, based solely on the fact that the gun will actually hit something. Holy macaroni, so bad. All right, let's take... by the way, in this comparison tool, we are not using any field mods. It's something I'm going to have to start thinking about in the future on whether I want to start adding field mods to tanks, because that will change some of these things potentially. But for my gameplay, for the way I have it set up when we get to my setup, and for the comparison, I'm not using field mods. This is just the baseline tank, fully upgraded modules, 100% crew, and no crew skills or any equipment or anything like that. Wow, let's see how I did with this thing. Now, if I'm completely honest with everybody, some of my dislike of this tank probably has a lot to do with how poorly I did in it. 48% on a 23 out of 23 battles. It took me a few more to unlock everything and move on to the 8, as opposed to just doing 20, which is what I usually do. I needed to unlock the tier 8. So it took me 23 battles to get to the tier 8. That's with times 5s and doubles and all the things that you can do these days. Running personal reserves, all that good stuff. It took me no time at all. I did unlock all of the modules with free experience, so I did not grind to that. It was just from full configuration to unlocking the next tank took me 23 battles. 777 on the average XP. Low. I'd much rather be much closer to 900 at tier 7. That's pretty bad. 70% hit rate. My battle survive was actually good, and I had a good run. I was in the 30% win rate with this for a while. Took me a while to kind of get my feet under me, and basically what it came down to was hide behind everybody and try to do some cleanup damage. That's all I could come up with, folks. I mean, I don't know what to tell you about this tank, but we ended up surviving. And 70% hit rate, that speaks a lot to the derpiness of the gun. I'm surprised it was that high, to be honest. Damage ratio is okay. Destruction ratio is atrocious at 1.07. Armor use efficiency is not very heavy tank-esque. 0.29. Now, I have talked to a couple of you guys, and you had better than that. So perhaps it's just a failure of side scraping, or maybe over aggression, or not trading well. There's obviously lots of that could be there. Do I have to mention low sample size? Just, yeah, that's standard. Obviously, low sample size at 23. Still, it just didn't seem like the armor wanted to hold up or do anything for me. DPM is kind of crappy right there. It's at the low end. It's not too far away from my standard tier 8 heavies, but it's not good at 1373. And frankly, it was more like 1,000, 1,100 until the last 7, 8, 10 battles. So I had a really rough time with this thing early on. 304 assist is actually okay. Enemy spotted 0.7, blah, blah, blah. I had a 2,794 damage game. That is as good as she gave, guys. That is everything I could coax out of her in 23 battles was one 2,794 damage game. Man, this thing just did not want to win and did not want to do any damage. Let's look at my setup. Crew-wise, I had a good crew in it. I had a bunch of books. I took some of the special crew members. They were I want to say 4-skill crew when I was using them. So crew was actually very good. Brothers in arms, all that good stuff. I did not run food until about halfway through, and then I started running food. Why? Because this dispersion was kicking my rear. That had something to do with the last half going a lot better. I shifted her up into not full try-hard mode, but a little bit. I started running a directive, the vent directive. I started running food. Let me just sidebar real quick. I have rarely been lit on fire in these Czech vehicles. I mean, a couple times in the last day or two, I actually mentioned on stream and immediately got lit on fire like 2 or 3 games later. But it's happened one more time. But other than that, not a problem. So running food did not seem to be a huge issue for these. And of course, if you have a really good crew with firefighting, yada, yada. But I was running vents, rammer, and the IRM. It might be a case with this tank. IA may be something you want to think about. You know, I don't know what it's going to do. It is going to help with the dispersion a little bit right there. I went with the improved rotation just because it was such a sluggish beast. It helped me move around a little bit more, gave me a little more mobility, at least in the tactical situation of turning the turret in the hole and all that good stuff. So there's definitely an argument for using improved aiming with this monster because of its silly dispersion. I just can't get over that. So that is definitely an option right there. I suppose you could go turbocharger. A lot of people do that when something's slow. That may help out with its speed. But then you're giving up something else. You're either giving up the dispersion, the reload time, or the overall bonus of the vents. And I don't think I really recommend any of that. But, you know, a little more speed to get where you need to be and get rid of the IRM, maybe not that big a loss. You're just not getting much dispersion help as you would with the IA. I ran 10 rounds of the premium / special ammo, and the pen is 242, as I said, gets you a little bit more shell velocity as well. 28 regular and 2 high explosive. 242 is kind of low. That's tough when you're meeting up with some of the more heavily armored 8s and especially 9s. 242 is requiring you to pick some weak spots. Oh, right, 0.41 dispersion. Good luck to you. Good luck to you. So that is my setup. Again, as noted earlier, no field modifications were used on this tank. If they were, what would we get? Really quickly, if we unlock the whole thing, we're going to get 3% more hit points. We'll get the swap out for the equipment and the consumables, and we've got 3 of the dual mods potentially. This one here will actually help with, right there, will help with the dispersion at the cost of a little more aiming time. 2.45 is not that bad, so that does help with 1 dispersion point right there. So field mods can give you a little bit of help along the way. Let's take a look at some examples of gameplay. And to be honest, I don't know how many good ones I have. I don't know if it's 3 actually, but traditionally it's 3, but I only had one 2,700 and whatever damage game. So it's going to be hard for me to sit here and act like, you know, I kick butt in this tank. All right, let's check it out. Okay, first example. So I had probably 4 or 5 games saved before I got to any kind of good ones. And I was basically just so down on this tank because I was just getting mauled and mullered and whooped upon. And this was the last of the bad ones before things turned around. And that's when I started running the food, which really helped. But this is just indicative of everything that was going on. Now, a light tank is obviously screamed up in here because as I'm trying to cross here, I'm going to get thumped. Not only do I get thumped by the Progetto, I get ammo racked at the same time. And so, beautiful, beautiful. I don't know why I shot the ground there. Or shot, yeah, no idea. Alright, so here we go. I'm going to try to figure this thing out. There's an LTG in the middle. I'm going to go after him with my .4 bazillion dispersion. Not really sure where he is. He actually, I run into a rock. So really just grand muppetry. Grand muppetry. We get a couple kills. The LTG is actually, I think, slid into the water. There he is. So he's drowned. He fell off. We have a 3-tank advantage early from some serious muppetry. The good news for me in this game is the 703 and the Carnarvon, 2 of their tier 8s, are both in the Valley of the Noobs, and the Progetto's on the road. So at least as I'm looking at, I'm coming in here 1 tier down, I'm thinking, all right, well, maybe I can get something done. I've already pressed 2. This was something I just was doing because it was so frustrating with this gun. Standard pen's good. Standard pen's good, but the dispersion's terrible. You just got to make the shots happen here because you're waiting 11 seconds or so for a daggum 320 alpha shot with a derpy gun. It's so painful. So we come up here and I just said, you know what? I just really don't want to turn around the corner with a Tiger 1 sitting there and maybe a, who knows where the Sturv is, don't know. So we back out of this thing. Obviously we're looking very, very light in town. There's me, a Churchill, and an Easy 8. Big fight going on in the Valley of the Noobs. They actually kill off the Carnarvon, so that's very helpful. We'll reposition down low. And then we've got the Tiger moving in. So I'm going to come down low here onto this position. EBR follows in. Here comes the Sioux, and the OI is kind of hanging out in the back. So we'll come around here and see what we got. Let's see. Nothing. So let's come around here, see if we can get some shots on the Tigray. Uh-oh, Sturv, there he is. So we'll hit him, and he's AFK. So we're about to get, we ram him. Now we're getting hit by the other VZ. So the other VZ is actually pushed up. He thumps me, and I'm hurting already. So we'll crit, no damage. That sounds fun. There you go. Perfect. We track him at least, and we'll back out of this thing. And as I said, this game was just indicative of how every game with this tank felt. Now that was the side of the tank, so I don't expect the armor to work on the side of the tank, obviously. So I'm trying to figure out if this other VZ is looking at me. I feel like if he just pushes me, he's got me. I'm basically a 2-shot to him, even if I hit him once. Even if I hit him twice, I should win that, or he should win that fight. But he doesn't come. He doesn't come. Progetto's kind of moving in on the middle. The Tiger's hanging out back there. My buddies are still with me, although the Churchill is dead, and this full hit point WZ is sort of staring at the Easy 8 and allows me to sneak in and get 1 free shot on him. So that evens up the hit point thing a little bit, but I'm still behind. Still behind on that trade. I'm wondering, is this Tiger going to push up and get a shot on me? Yes, he's going to be right there. So I just traded another 247 for nothing. And it's try to shoot him. There we go. We get a shot on him. We sneak out. Well, for whatever reason, he didn't back out and shoot me, even though I'd already fired. So he's just sort of leaving me in the fight here, to be quite honest. As is this VZ. I'm very surprised he hasn't just come down and around the corner. It's pretty easy to look at what's going on and realize we don't have much in town. But the best tonic for... There we go. We get hit by him, so that's awesome. I think I might die here. Yeah, we get 1 shot on him. We just go ahead and take it, and he's just going to come in here and kill us. We're going to try to wiggle and jiggle, maybe a little angle. Yeah, come on, baby. Yeah, we can do it. Yeah. No. Nope. 206 is plenty. 206 is plenty. Didn't even have to shoot gold to me. 206 is plenty to just punch through. Probably went to my lower plate, which is obviously weaker and exposed at that point. And I come out of that with a whole 1,556. Let's go on to better and nicer days, because once I put food on this thing, it started to perform a bit. Like I said, that last game was just how it felt. I was probably punching out the first 10, 12, 15 battles somewhere between 12 and 1,700. It was a very odd thing. I was averaging in that 13 to 1,400, maybe a little bit lower actually at that point. But it wasn't a case of doing a 500 and then a 2,000. I hadn't even tripped 2,000, by the time I did that. And I finally looked at it and went, all right, I guess we need food, man. I guess we need food. There we go. We get a little clip on that guy. I think we get some assist out of it. There we go. He's trying to get away. So it speeds up the zoom in just a little bit. It's got a little bit better dispersion. You know, everything with the crew is just working a little bit better. And I realized pretty quickly that the tracks are won, but things are not looking great over there in town. So let's go ahead and head off this way. It really felt like once I put food on this thing, it started to be a much better tank. I suppose that should go kind of without saying. You know, obviously, duh. You put some food on there and you do some try hard, things are going to work out a little better. And I like that. You know, there finally some kind of long range capability. It's not a sniper by any means, even with food, right? Food's not magic, but it does increase the performance of the tank. Hence why good players load food on a lot of their tanks. It's unfortunate that this tank really feels like one that just absolutely has to have food to perform. I think it's just unfortunate. That's just where this thing is. We'll come up to this bush, then we'll try to do some... Look at that. For a wonder, Guido's doing the right thing with the bush mechanics and trying to be smart. I just need to defend because all of my noobs are attacking the cap. So as long as I can kind of hang out here and keep them from driving onto our cap, because there may be a few resets, but no, their whole team is pushing. Fantastic. I don't know why I got lit right there. Some bushes are not as good as others. That actually hit while moving. That blew my mind, because I don't know if I had any of those before I started running the food. And I know I'm going on about the food. It's not necessarily, you know, the magic thing. It just worked. It was just better. It was just better, more comfortable. Felt like I could do something. Maybe I actually changed some of my play style a little bit as well. I will say one thing I definitely started doing is stopped playing like I was a bully heavy tank, because even though the armor profile supposedly is supposed to be decent on this thing, it just really isn't. So once I stopped kind of doing that and started being a little more careful, things turned around a bit. And look at that, a whole 2,162. Probably could have been better, obviously. If our guys hadn't capped out, there was another maybe 1,000 hit points. No, those guys have 800, 200. We got a lot of guys shooting at them. I don't know what. Maybe another 2 shots out of that, potentially. There you go. All right, let's look at the third one. The best game I had. All right, we join this game ongoing. I'm actually going to get up a little bit into their faces here, at least I think I am initially, but we've got a Skoda T56 with us, another Vz.44. And with the Skoda T56, I feel like I've got a little bit of cover. I can bring my cyclical gun in here and try to keep guys off of him when he hits them hard twice. We'll push on in here. They lose an IS-3 Panther or 2 right off the bat. I'm bottom tier, but only 1 tier down. Come up here and all of a sudden I see this TNH, and I thought he was going to jump all over me, and then he bails out. He doesn't like what he's seeing, and gets me a shot right here. It's easy to do 2,000 damage, or in this case, a mighty 2,400, when people do stuff like this. I don't know what this guy's doing. If his turret was even pointed at me, I might not have even come up and taken a shot. But he's just kind of driving around, dying. I don't know, man. You know, what do you say? What do you say? We'll just act like that this whole thing was all about my positioning and amazing gameplay. That we gunned down one of their tier 8s who just did a ring around the rosy right there. 45 TP is one of the tanks we looked at as a comparison. I actually quite like the 45 TP, and he does a pretty decent job right here using the old turret. I've gone to skill, so I've loaded my skill. We'll come in here and see if we can't pop this guy. That actually went in for a wonder. Even with the angle, probably should not have, but it did. T56 goes in for the kill. We'll back out of this because I feel like that's about to happen. Yeah, so 356. If we look at the damage, that's probably an UDES, or maybe the Su-122-44 with a low roll. I'm just trying to get out of this guy's way. I don't want to drive down that open area. That seems like a very bad idea. So we're going to head around this way. We got 1,000 damage. Again, I'm running food, so that is helping. And it feels like you can just be more effective, because when you do get into a match like this where you have longer range shots, some of those shots are going to hit, or more of those shots will hit. It is interesting in this game how big a difference even one dispersion point will make. Especially when you consider over time taking multiple shots, all that good stuff. I get lit trying to get in here. So I'm going to ram on the brakes. Hope they don't shoot me. Try to get behind this rock. Look how slow we are. We're just, oh my goodness gracious. Please don't kill me. Oh, there we go. It is the Udez. And there he is. So that's fantastic. So we'll just zoom in. He's trying to get away. We'll take a little bit of a hasty shot, but I didn't want those hit points to get away, and I hit it. So fantastic. We're up to 1,385. Surprised me that he was actually there, to be honest. And unless he moved there, it's really surprising he took that shot at the Skoda and none of us lit him. But all heavies, so not fantastic view range in there. You can see that we've got them pushed back into the corner. They never really advanced into the east side of the map right there, and now we've got all kinds of guys getting lit. Black Prince is in a very terrible, silly spot, and he will die there for that. So I'm just going to push in on this dude. What I'd like to do is go through this little area, and we're going to get lit as we do it. I actually shoot him on the run, which is beautiful. Take a hit from the Super Hellcat. Little wiggle, little jiggle. I want to dive down into this area here. Hopefully I don't take another hit. Very possible right here, but I get away with it. And we'll push up in. We'll speed this up. And I just wanted to show you that again, the whole food thing. We'll just belabor this whole point. Much more comfortable tank, but look how slow it is. Just takes forever to get anywhere. I mean, 30 is just terrible. And if it was a case of it carried a bunch of really good armor with it, that the price you paid for the slow speed and the kind of anemic gun was a usable and interesting armor profile, that would be amazing. But it doesn't have that. There's no such thing. And it's almost like KV3-esque in that the idea here was to have a derpy gun and a decent armor, but we all know how that works with the KV3 based on the way the game is played and power creep and all that. I mean, it's almost a tank designed in 2015. And maybe it was, I don't know. So we'll come out here. We'll try to get a little shot on someone in the back. It's not really working. Can't quite find him. There's an Udez right there, and then we got the other VZ. He's making a runner. We hit him for a low roll at 293. Yay. He's going to take a snap at me as we go. I think he might hit me, as I recall. Nope, no snap. He aimed. He got it. He's trying to get away. He's like, oh, geez. Okay, I'll go back to garage. Was really hoping right here, two things, that I would get this shot on the run, because he's going to disappear. I'll just, no, there we go. And then I was hoping I could dive bomb the 14.5, and that maybe he wouldn't get killed. I get the auto aim going, but the reload's taking forever. I do bounce that shot, but I don't get to ram him. That's unfortunate. I might get another shot, actually. Yep, I do, because we had a 2,700 damage. Amazing game here. I missed this guy. Just keep pushing. Got the W going. I know the T-56 can two-shot me, but I really just want to get one shot out of him. There we go. We get a T-43 dead. Forgot about that. And we'll come around here and look if we can't get one more shot. And this is with their standard round, so we're going to sneak one into his lower plate. He either didn't shoot at me or... No, I think he hit the Scorpion. And we get him dead. 2,794, 385 assists, and 4 kills for my best game in the in the Vz.44-1. Let's wrap this one up. What's the judgment of the Vz.44-1 Tier 7 Czech heavy tank? It is squarely, if not at the bottom, down with the worst of the Tier 7 heavy tanks, tech tree tanks. The firepower is absolutely crippling for a heavy tank. DPM is not everything. I've said this many times. But the tank has to have something that it can rely on that isn't the firepower. In this case, the bouncing factor seems to have been potentially decent armor for survivability, but in practice, it doesn't really work. Not the way the game is designed and the way the mechanics work. The overall package with the low DPM with nothing else to lean on, everything else anemic, is just crippling. And as far as a heavy tank goes, it just doesn't do a very good job of being a heavy tank at Tier 7. It can occasionally have good games, all that kind of thing. Break, the other part of it is if you want it to perform, and this is unfortunate, and we keep seeing this with tech tree tanks, if you want it to perform, you almost have to run food and all the try-hard stuff on it just to kind of bring it up to on par with other things. And of course, if the tanks it's facing are running all that stuff, then it's right back where it started with its fairly bad baseline capabilities. But you will find if you can control the derpiness of the gun, you will have a much better experience in the tank, even though I don't think you're going to be running around dominating the battlefield. The upgrade to the Tier 8, we'll have the Tier 8 review come out pretty soon. It's actually fairly decent. I will foreshadow and forewarn you, though, if you're on the Vz.44-1 and you've been seeing T56s run around the premium Tier 8, and you've been wanting to get yourself some of that two-shot auto-loader loving, the Tier 8 is better with the single-shot gun. But we'll cover that in the next review. So that's it for my review of the Vz.44-1, a solidly below average Tier 7 tech tree heavy tank. Needs a buff, Wargaming. Needs a buff pretty badly. All right, let me know what you think down below. That's all I've got. We will see you.